Good morning, children. This is seventh video of second chapter, and in this video we will discuss about the major centers of the time period 6th century BCE to 6th century CE. So, as you know, 16 Mahajanpads were there, and all the capital cities were considered as the major centers. So, first we will discuss about the Patliputra. Patliputra was the capital of Magad, and Magad was the most important Mahajanpad. So the question is why the capital city was shifted from Rajgriha to Patliputra? Because Patliputra was situated on the riverine routes. Riverine routes as means it was situated on the site of Ganga and its tributaries, and rivers were the main means of communication, so transportations. So that's why Patliputra was the major center at the riverine routes. The next one is Ujjaini. Why Ujjaini got importance? Because Ujjaini was the major center of land routes. Ujjaini connected to the land routes with Taxila, and Taxila was the gateway of the Central Asia and Mediterranean countries, European countries. So the Ujjaini was connected with this longest route towards the Taxila and the Central Asia and the European countries. That's why it got importance. Then the next one, the coastal city of Puhar. Puhar was the coastal city, and why this got importance? Because it was situated on the sea routes. So the travelers and the passengers they started their journey by sea routes from this major center Puhar. That's why it got importance from here. The next one, that is Mathura. Mathura got importance because it was the political and culturally and the political city at that time. That's why it got importance. So now the next point we will discuss about the archaeologists and the historians. They faced difficulties to find out to conduct the excavation in these cities. So what type of artifacts the archaeologists have found here? So the first one, that is fine pottery bowls and dishes with a glossy fine known as northern black polished ware. You might have read somewhere the northern black polished ware. You can see a picture here, and you can observe the glossy finish of the surface of this pot. So might be it was used, these type of pots were used by the wealthier people, rich people of the society at that time. So this was the most important, the northern black polished ware. Then the red polished ware. These pots were the grey polished ware. This is the copper pot the archaeologists have found at that time period. And this is the glass beads. You can see the glass, and the beads were made by the glass. And this is the different type of coins which the archaeologists have procured from those sites. It means the major centers. The apart from these, the tools, weapons, vessels, figurines made of a wide range of material, the artifacts made by gold, silver, copper, bronze, ivory, glass, shell and terracotta. So all these materials the archaeologists have found from these sites. By the 2nd century BCE, finds short votive inscriptions. So the next topic we will discuss about the short votive inscriptions, and why these were the important. Because on these inscriptions the name of the donor and the occupation of the donor has been mentioned by the on that inscriptions. So that's why it is very important. Now, which were the people lived in these major towns? So see, take a look. Washing folk, weavers, scribes, carpenters, potters, goldsmith, blacksmith, officials, religious teachers, merchants and kings. They were these type of people were living in those major centers, capital centers. So sometimes guild or shrenies. You must have read earlier guilds and shrenies. These were the group of a merchant. It was the organization of the craft producers and the merchants. The merchants, they controlled all the activities conducted by the craft persons. So in today's you can see the industries and factories. So in the way of, at that time, the Shrenis and the guilds were there. It was the group of the merchants who organized all the economic activities related with the craft. So these guilds probably procured raw materials. अब इनके काम क्या थे? They procured raw materials. Raw material procure करते थे. Regulated production and marketed the finished products. So the craft person, they were not worried to where and how they have to sell their products. So it was the duty and responsibility of the guilds and Shrenis. They conducted all these economic activities, and they took control all the economic activities. They have a direct contact with the kings, and they regulate all these activities. So guilds and Shrenis were the most important part in those major centers. Now the trade in the subcontinent, how the trade were being organized in those major centers, and how it was connected with the subcontinent and the other places. So from the 6th century BCE, land and river routes crisscrossed the subcontinent. Here you can see from the 6th century BCE, you can see these slight lines. So this is the western coast of India, and this is the eastern coast, Bay of Bengal side, and this is the western coast. So most of the ports were there in western coast, and all these were connected with. So the western side, the ships and boats and the passengers, they went to eastern side of Africa. They reached the northern part of the Africa. They took a way to the Central Asia, and like the Mediterranean countries and the European countries here. So all these routes were connected with the Eastern Africa, the Northern Africa, the Central Asia, and the European countries. So, and in this side you can see, so it was connected, the eastern side, eastern ports were connected with the Southeast Asia countries, as like Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, all these islands countries, and it was connected with the China. So all these routes were maintained by the king and the ruler of subcontinent like India. So now we will see trade in the from 6th century. Land and river routes crossed the subcontinent and extended in various directions, overland into Central Asia and beyond, and overseas from ports that dotted the coastal line, extended across the Arabian Sea to East and North Africa and West Asia, and through the Bay of Bengal to Southeast Asia and China. Rulers often attempted to control these routes. Why rulers attempted to control these routes? Because the peddlers, the foot soldiers, and the merchants, and the Shrenis, the travelers, the religious gurus, mentors, all they were crossed. All they traveled on these routes. So kings and the rulers, they wanted to protect these routes. So what they did at that time, so rulers often attempted to control these routes, possibly by offering protection for a price. So कभी कभी ऐसा होता था कि kings and rulers जो थे वो पैसे लेकर के इन रूट्स को प्रोटेक्ट किया करते थे. Those who traversed these routes included peddlers who probably traveled on a foot, and merchants who traveled with caravans of bullock carts and पैक एनिमल्स. तो जो फुट ट्रैवलर्स थे उनकी भी सुरक्षा होती थी, और जो मर्चेंट्स कारवां में चलते थे बुलक कार्ट्स और पैक एनिमल्स के साथ, उनकी भी सुरक्षा की जाती थी. इसके अलावा ऑल्सो दीज वर सी फेयरर्स, जो समुद्री यात्रा करने वाले लोग थे. दे वर द वेल्दियर पर्सन, दे वर द मर्चेंट्स हुज वेंचर्स वर रिस्की बट हाईली प्रॉफिटेबल. रिस्की होता था लेकिन इससे बहुत प्रॉफिट मिलता था उनको. सक्सेसफुल मर्चेंट्स डेजिग्नेटेड एज मसत्तुवन इन तमिल. तमिल लैंग्वेज में जो सक्सेसफुल मर्चेंट्स होते थे, वेल्दियर मर्चेंट्स होते थे, उनको कहा जाता था मसत्तुवन. एंड सेटीज कहा जाता था. देन सातवाहाज इन प्राकृत लैंग्वेज कुड बिकम इनॉर्मसली रिच. So because of these trade and commerce, they acquired a very prosperous condition at that time. So a wide range of goods were carried from one place to another. Now which type of material were carried out, which type of goods were carried out? So from India, salt, grain, cloth, metal, ores, and finished products, stone, timber, medicinal plants, all these were carried by the merchants. spices, especially pepper, were in high demand. As you know that the South India was the important place for the spices, and these spices were very popular, very in high demand in the Roman Empire, as were textile and medicinal plants. Textile and medicinal plants भी बहुत डिमांड में था, and these were all transported across the Arabian Sea to the Mediterranean. Arabian Sea से लेकर के और Mediterranean Sea, these routes all you have seen. So with these routes, all these materials were carried out from India to the Africa and the Central Asia and the European countries. Now, to some extent, exchanges were facilitated by the introduction of coinage. अब अभी कहा सकता है कि ये जो एक्सचेंजेस थे वो किस तरह से फैसिलिटेट किए जाते थे, तो वो कॉइनेज के माध्यम से. तो ये जो कॉइनेज है इसके बारे में हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो में स्टडी करेंगे. इन दिस वीडियो दैट्स ऑल.